here. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Asgardian's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Marvel Legends Thor wave, at least the three that I'm picking up from the wave, which is Jane Foster, Ares, and Hela. And no need to waste too much more time. I owe a lot of people a lot of thanks on this. I got Jane Foster from Amazon, caught her for $19.99. I bought Hela from a guy in a Facebook group, and shout out to Randy B. He's far too kind to me, but I bought something from him, and he threw in Ares to sweeten the deal, which was already far too sweet than I deserve or even care to mention. But I want to make sure that I thank him for being just one of the most generous people I've met in this community. But enough about that. Let's get started. So we'll start with our hero or heroine, I guess. And once again, these capes, man. Like, so this peg is at an upward angle, and it doesn't really fit well into this port. It's like, and the port is like octagon shaped, and this is circle, I mean hexagon, like it's just a mess. So that's irritating. The cape itself is fairly well sculpted, and then it has these little silver doodads painted on, so that's fine. As for her, she also comes with her hammer, of course. That's painted silver, and she holds it just well. For her head sculpt, it's fine. It sits a little too high up on her neck, and then so the hair doesn't ever really sit naturally. But I guess it's supposed to sit on the cape, but the cape doesn't fit naturally on her either, so it's just a mess. Outside of that, we have the gray swirly plastic for the head, and that looks fine. I like that. I know some people don't. The gold paint in there looks good as well, and the lips are painted beautifully, and the hair is all washed, so that looks good. The head itself is on a ball hinge, so you get down to there, which is more than you'll ever want, up to there, which won't work because of the cape, and swivels. And it's a little loose. And then we have this silver on the chest here, which is painted on, and otherwise it's black plastic, and then the skin tone is painted on. That has a ball joint here, which works really well, great range and swivel. And then we have the gold accent painted there, and we have the skin tone painted on there, as well as this little buckle that looks terrible, but whatever. We have a disc hinge shoulder, which gets you past 90 degrees and all the way around with a bicep swivel, a single jointed elbow, that gets you 90 degrees and another swivel. And then you have a wrist swivel with hinge in out. Same for the other side, except you have this gauntlet here, which is painted very well. The silver is painted extremely clean, and then the buckles are painted very well. And then you have the silver on the buckle, which is also painted well. That's that little extra detail that I think goes a long way with Marvel Legends. Articulation-wise, it's the same as you have this black that's painted on. Yeah, it looks like the black is painted on. I could be wrong about that. And then we have this floating piece, which is sculpted well enough and painted fairly well with the brown and silver, and then this trim, so to speak, along the edges, which all looks good. T-jointed ball joints for hips, limited range though, once again, get you out to there. Thigh swivel, double jointed knee, getting you a good range. Nothing for the shin, which is fine. And then we have this floating piece here, which does cover the joint, so I'm okay with it, which exposes our ankle joint, which gets you an ankle tilt up, which is great, an ankle tilt down, which is fine, and a rocker. The sculpt on the wraps is done really well. It's fairly well sculpted, and there's like a decent amount of stuff going on here. It's just there's some poor execution between the cape and the hair and the head and the way that the head sits on the neck. But yeah, it's well enough, I suppose. And then we have Ares. He comes with a ton of accessories. This knife, which is painted well, at least clean, and it has a little holster, so there's a place for it, so that's nice. And then he has this sword, which is huge. It's almost the size of the figure itself. Once again, the gold is all done clean. We have this gray swirly plastic. Actually, that might be paint, because it's like, maybe not. No, the gold is chipping there. And then the black. Maybe that is paint. I'm not sure. It might be black plastic. Probably black plastic, and then the gold and silver is painted on. Either way, it looks really good. And then we have this axe, which has the silver paint and nice, like, weathered texturing in the sculpt. So that looks good, and he holds that just fine. He has his helmet, which has this black, like, glossy paint, which looks really good, and then dry brushing along the hair here, which looks really good as well, and fits on him well. And then for the figure himself, nice paint on the eyes. We got this like airbrush blast in the middle of the face for like some heavy duty shading, which may be a little intense, but I kind of like it. I think it adds a great shadow as well underneath the helmet. So I think that looks good. And then the eyes are painted with like a blue eyeliner and then a silver kind of eye, and then the eyebrows and the hair and all this stuff. It looks really good. The head might be just a ball peg. Yeah, just a ball peg. So you get a little bit down, nothing really up, and the swivel. So not the best there, but I think it's okay. We have the straps and stuff, which are painted fairly well, sculpted fairly well. We have the chest emblem, which is painted very well. We have the silver lining across the armor, which is painted well. We have a ball peg on a hinge, so you get all the way down to there, back to there, and the swivel, and you can go side to side. So it's probably a T-jointed hinge, which is nice. And then we have this area here, which is all sculpted and then washed, and then we have the buckle that's painted, so that looks good as well. For the arms, they're on disc hinges. You get all the way up, fairly well down, and then you get the swivel here and out to the side, all the way around, because, you know, so that works. It would have been nice to have some shading on the arms here, but all in all, it works fairly well. Bicep swivel, this joint breakup here is a little strange. It's on both sides. That's probably to allow for the way that they did the shoulders, which is, you know, it's just an engineering issue, but not the best. It's fine. It's just not the best. Great sculpt work with all the like veins and stuff, and the musculature all looks good. We have a single hinged elbow, gets you a little shy of 90 degrees. Let me see if we can get it the other way. If that makes it any better, because that might be the way it is, right? Yeah, so that gets you just shy of 90 degrees. Then we have the brown bit that's painted on, the black, the silver studs, all that stuff looks good. Wrist swivel, hinge in, out. Same for the other side, except you get this stuff, which is sculpted really well. And it looks like it was a darker shade, and they dry brushed it to brown. Really effective. And then the wrist swivel hinge in and out as well. So all that stuff works well. We have, like, the pegs for this are up in there. So they come almost straight down. It's more like a wide joint to a disc hinge. So you can get down, but my legs pop off all the time. And then you can swivel it so that the hinge is facing this way and get up and get your leg out to there. So they do this from time to time with really bulky characters. Hulk has had it before, for example. It's not my favorite way of doing business, but it is fairly effective. Thigh swivel, obviously, this brown is painted on. All the black here is heavily dry brush silver and looks really good. Double jointed knee, which looks great because of the armor. And then ankle, nothing really for the tilt up, a good bit for the tilt back, and the rocker. So he's a really impressive looking figure, but there are some strange things about him, the way that the biceps connect and then their choice for the thigh joints. But nonetheless, a really well executed and well, you know, kind of menacing and intimidating looking piece. Lastly, we have Hela. She has a cape as well. Hers is much better connected with that peg and port there. And actually, there's a little bit more to talk about there while we're there. Like, I like the way that these bits kind of wrap around the shoulder. It does make it seem like a more inclusive cape. Not my favorite way of doing capes, but it is a nice approach. So I dig it. And then it has this metallic green added as a paint job to the collar. She also comes with this sword, just a black sculpted piece, but it is sculpted nicely, but nothing really else to report about it. And she only has one holding hand, so that's a nice touch as well. Her crown here is made up of multiple pieces that kind of plug into it. I'm not going to take it apart now. The head does sit a little too high up on the neck, and it's a bit loose. That's a problem I've been seeing more and more with Hasbro 6-inch figures between this and the Last Jedi wave, so something to be mindful of. The paint on the face is great. Like, it's a lot of different approaches there. Looks really good, and she also comes with an alternate head, which does have the digital paint, which was nice to see. And let me see if I can't zoom in on that for you. Really, really nice stuff that they're doing. Look at all the veins underneath the skin tone popping through in the forehead. Just amazing for 20 bucks. Amazing. I really applaud their effort there. Okay, let's talk about the sculpt. I'm pretty sure this is a digital sculpt because of the texturing. That would be my guess. Lots of line work and stuff in the armor. Looks superb. No issues in that regard. Couple paint issues, but we'll talk about right now, and then we'll just go through the articulation. We got some stuff wearing off on the chest armor where the skin tone meets the armor. Sometimes there's some issues in terms of cleanliness and sharpness, especially you see right in there and stuff. That stuff I've noticed throughout the figure. The fingernails are all painted. The straps in the hands are painted. Like, They really knocked this out of the park. I put this in the same pocket that I'd put that Black Panther figure they did. Like, it's just that level of quality. So, in terms of sculpt and design. Okay, so head articulation on her floating head here. You get all the way back to there, but it looks absurd because of the sculpt. And then you get all the way down to there, which also looks absurd. Not looking absurd, you pretty much get to there, and then you get the swivel, of course, with no problem. We have disc hinge shoulders, get you all the way up to 90 degrees. You do have to get it underneath the upper torso, which does wear the paint, so be aware of that. No bicep swivel, you do get it at the elbow. This piece here, I think, moves as well. Maybe not. And then you get a elbow hinge that gets you 90 degrees, wrist swivel, and hinge in and out. This green, metallic green, is a really nice green. It's like a muted green, but it has some shine to it. It looks really good. Same for the other side, and the hinges in and out on this hand as well. Nice posing hand as well. It could be relaxed. It could be like a, you know, come with me. What do you want? Like very, I can't think of the word at the moment, but versatile. You know, posing hand. I like posing hands, so good on them for that. We have a ball hinge for the torso. This one actually doesn't work as well as the others, but you still get a fairly decent range, and it does get caught up here in the back with this bulging disc that she has on. And then I didn't get green painted here, but I guess they figured it's going underneath the cape, so why bother? T-jointed ball joints for hips get you out to there, forward to there, thigh swivel at a cut joint, double jointed knee, getting you the full range, and then ankles tilt up a taste, down a fair bit, which you don't really need, and a swivel. Small feet, I have had problems getting her to stand. I've usually ended up using her cape as like a third leg, so to speak. So that's a bit of a bummer, especially with her crown of thorns there. It kind of it makes her a little bit more challenging to get posed. Final thoughts wise, let me talk about the issues. Thor has some paint issues, and you know, her cape is an issue, and then the head sitting to the neck is an issue. Hela has issues in terms of her ability to stand. I'm gonna get so much done today, I don't even know where to begin. What should I do first? Draw, edit, paint, dioramas. And her head sitting to the neck, and Ares has an issue with that ball peg in the neck where it's hard to get him to kind of look the way you want him if you have him in a dynamic pose. And then the hip joints are weird. But outside of that, they're all three fairly good, with Jane Foster being the weakest of the three. So I do recommend them. Jane Foster is kind of a weak recommend. The other two are more of a strong recommend. I think they'll make nice additions to your collection, and I think they look good. I'll tell you, this week my wife and kids are at the beach, and I'm staying here and kind of looking after the dog and so forth. And like, it's interesting, man. Like I thought, I was like, look, it's going to be great. All these things I'm going to be able to do. I have all this time with zero responsibility. Yeah, it turned out to be a little lackluster. So anyway, hope you're enjoying your week. Hope all you guys in Texas stay safe. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.